Hey everybody, this is Robot here from Vespa Motorsport and ScooterWest.com. First of all, you're probably subscribed to our channel. You may be asking why I'm reviewing a Honda. I've always had a heart for the Honda scooters. My first exposure to scooters was the Hondas from the 80s. So I am very partial to Honda scooters as much as I am, no, I like Vespas more, I'm sorry. But I wanted to review pretty much the lowest price scooter from a major name brand ever in the United States of America. This is the Honda NQ50, commonly referred to as the Honda Spree here in the United States of America. And I'm going to tell you some of the history of this scooter and when I've had one and what we did to it. And just a little bit about the scooter if you happen to stumble across one. There's not that many of them left on the roads. Most of them are just thrashed and thrown away. It's kind of sad. But if I had a mint collection, a mint version of the scooter, I would put this thing up on the wall. No, I'd probably ride it actually. I don't know if I'd put it on the wall, but I think it's still worthy of riding. So the Honda Spree, as it was named here in the United States, I think in other markets it's called the Smiley and the Eve. There's some other names for it. It's some cutesy little names, but they call it the Spree. That's pretty like, Spree, that's like cutesy too. But it's pretty much kind of the smallest street legal scooter that they sold from 1984 to 1987 here in the United States. And it was sold through, you know, the Honda dealerships. Honda was on top of the world in the mid-80s. They were truly on top of the world. They were doing great with the cars. They had a very successful line of scooters, most notably the Elite. They had the Elite 250, which was one of the first like scooters that would go on the freeway. Ironically, the Elite 250 in other markets, if you don't know, was called the Freeway 250, with a proper name. And essentially, a Vespa GTS is just a much more modern version of the Honda Freeway 250 from 1984-85. But here, I got the Honda Spree. This is the bottom of the line scooter. You may ask why I'm reviewing something like this. Just happened to be fixing it for the customer, and I think it's pretty cool that the customer still rocks this thing. It's by no means in nice condition. I assume it was like a red version. They had like cheap molded plastic. This was not painted plastic, and I'm sure it was quite faded to probably a pink color. The side panels were also red. It's a very small scooter, but it's ergonomically, it is pretty good even for a big guy. It's incredible. The top speed of a scooter like this is just about 30 miles an hour. No different than a modern 50, but the difference is doesn't weigh anything. I can just like go in here. The sad thing, the reason most of these scooters were are gone is people just like, they were stolen and thrown away and trashed or whatever. But back to why this was so cheap. Just guess the price, what this cost in 1984. You could totally buy it on a credit card back in 1984. My credit limit, when I first got a credit card in the 90s, I could have bought this scooter. This MSRP on this scooter from the dealership in 1984 was $398. In today's dollars, that's under $1,000. Can you tell me any name brand scooter I would consider like a Honda, Yamaha, Vespa, Piaggio, any of the big name scooters? Do any of those brands have a scooter that cost $1,000 MSRP? Nope. So, you know, this probably got a lot of people onto two wheels, you know, street legal two wheels that, you know, couldn't have afforded any other new vehicle. It's just a lightweight, real compact little scooter, and this would be a typical mod. No one would ever spend $100 for a top case when you bought the scooter for $400. You just go steal a milk crate from the back of that grocery store, just put some zip ties, and you're set. Why do I care about this scooter? Back in 1998, Vespa was hosted here in San Diego, California. My brother, who happens to be the vintage Vespa technician that works for me, and it's just, he's like a scooter and two-wheeler nut. He's got a ton of motorcycles, all this cool stuff. But both of us somehow got our hands on a Spree back in the mid-90s. You know, obviously probably got it for like $100 or something like that. Well, the one thing about this motor, it doesn't even have a variator. It is a one-speed transmission. It's a 50cc two-stroke engine with a one-speed transmission. Super duper simple. It's got a belt drive like any modern scooter. So the acceleration is not all that brisk to speak of. But there's many four-stroke 50cc's that this thing will outperform. So just because it doesn't weigh anything and it's got a two-stroke motor that, you know, they have pretty excellent power to weight ratios. But we got our hands on one of these, and what do we do with it? We built the Spree 250. So hopefully I find this photo and put it in the video. Pretty much we had this Spree that would just do wheelies. That's all it would do, just wheelies all the time. It was a 250cc motor in it, liquid cooled. We even had the radiators, and our goal was to get these little teeny petite cows back on the scooter. I think we welded a frame. This is the early days. I remember I took like a junior college class on learning how to weld, and I was like, I'm gonna be an expert on welding. My dad's all like, nuh-uh, you don't wanna be an iron worker, not a good idea. But it's always stuck with me. My brother knows how to weld really good, and we like fabricated a whole engine mount and radiator supports. And it was just kind of a funny little, like, I don't know, like little toy to play with. Just do wheelies everywhere. It's so dangerous. The brakes don't work with a shit on this thing. It's got a drum brake that's like this, no different than like the old mopeds. So it couldn't stop the thing at all. But we had that for a little while. I think it ended up in my brother's house in Vegas, and I don't know what happened to it. You know, 25 years goes by and you forget about something, then it just disappears. That's just what happened to it. So back in the day, you may have asked, what do you get for $399 or $398? For under $400, you got a speedometer that showed when you were about doing 35 miles an hour on a really steep downhill. You got an odometer and something that wasn't found on Vespas until the later years, a fuel gauge. It's got full turn signals, electric start, and a kickstart, and little horn that honks. You got everything a modern scooter has in a small compact package. It's a perfect grocery getter once you put the basket on the back. So you got a two-stroke engine that comes to life with electric start. And last but not least, there's a little LED that tells you when your two-stroke oil is low. So when that light comes on, not only you have a regular seat, it's got a locking seat. You can add oil, two-stroke oil to it, and then you got less than 1 gallon capacity. Think of what gas cost in 1985. You'd almost be embarrassed filling this thing up, because you'd empty out your pocket change and your pocket lint, and you come back with a full tank of gas. And I'm sure this little scooter would go like 75 or 80 miles, maybe 100 miles on a tank full. The Spree 250, on the other hand, just sucked through the tank in 2 seconds. So my favorite part about servicing 80s Honda scooters is reading the service manuals. I have the whole entire collection of all the service manuals for the 80s Hondas. I don't know what it is. I think maybe the illustration allured me to scooters. I don't know about this dude. I'm sorry I don't look quite as cool as this dude does from 1984. But as what I could see, a reflection in his aviator glasses, I see a scooter of some sort. This guy might think he's like a badass, probably riding like a Magma 750 or whatever big muscle bike that Honda made, probably the Sabre 1100, the V65 Sabre. That's like a badass Honda muscle bike that was like to be reckoned with until the VMAX came around, if you know your two-wheelers. But this guy is cool. he got me into scooters. And the manuals were written so good. Piaggio, Vespa, you should learn from how Honda wrote manuals. These were probably written in North America. They talk about everything. And not only a workshop manual for an experienced technician, I would say even an intermediate home mechanic could easily follow everything in this. This little scooter has a manual that's pretty thick, and you can service it. Unfortunately, now that we're in 2020, well over 20 years, 25 years since the scooter's been manufactured, or way more than that, what am I thinking, like 30 years. A lot of parts are discontinued, so good luck. If you need something critical for the scooter to repair it, like a cylinder and piston, good luck. You're not gonna find it. But the service manual is something that sold me on the Honda scooters. So last but not least, if you're looking for the 80s Honda look, you can just come right to our store, Vespa Motorsport. You can buy the Hydra Orion helmet, the 3/4 shell black helmet, put the little visor on it. It's got some other trick features like the tinted shade, but why would you need that when you got some sick, cheap aviator glasses? And there you have it. You got the look that goes with the scooter and the service manual. Very important when it comes to robot reviewing a scooter. So thanks for watching. This is Robot here from Vespa Motorsport and ScooterWest.com, the premier dealership for Vespa scooters here in San Diego, California. I will never leave a Honda behind, and just wanted to share a little bit of Honda love for everybody. And if you stumbled across this channel for the first time, maybe you'll go down that rabbit hole called Vespas. If you want to go down that rabbit hole called Vespas, just subscribe to our channel, type Vespa Motorsport in YouTube, and you can just start watching Vespa videos until your heart's content. Maybe you'll watch my touring video where I went to Mexico City. Maybe you too will be riding a Spree 50 all the way to Mexico City from San Diego. Until next time, this is Robot here. I hope you enjoyed that video. A little off subject and a little off content, and I like it that way.